want to do a weekly check-in with you guys again today. So what has gone well this week and what hasn't gone so well? Have you learnt anything from this week? Has someone challenged you this week? Or have you, struggled with something this week? Maybe you've had some new projects at school, projects at work that are taking up a lot of your time and energy. Are you giving yourself time, space to relax and chill and, be kind to yourself? I hope whatever you have been up to it's been a good week. My week has been a lot better, but lots of things have been going on that have been causing upset. So I've fallen out with some friends recently. That's been very upsetting. But on the whole, my mood seems to be changing. My mood seems to be lifting. I'm much brighter than I was. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about my adoption. Now, I'm fiddling with things already. When it's National Adoption Week this week, so I thought I would do a little personal vlog about my adoption. I have talked about it in other videos, but I wanted to go a bit more in depth and just to share more of my story with you. So I was 2 days old when I was adopted, and my birth parents, they apparently met at a party, like a sort of house party thing, when they were in their, was it late teens, early 20s, so like sort of 19, 20, and she fell pregnant with me, and they both decided that apparently I wasn't involved in this conversation. They both decided that they thought it'd be better to give birth to me and give me to another family. I'm fiddling with things. Stop fiddling. So they decided to put me up for adoption, and at the same time, my parents, my adoptive parents, who are my parents, they were struggling to have children. They couldn't have children. They tried and tried, and so they adopted me. And they actually adopted my sister first. She's the eldest, and then they would loved being with her, loved having her, still couldn't have their own children, so they adopted me. So they've got 2 girls now, and just as they were finalising everything with me, my mum fell pregnant, and they apparently had to keep it a real secret because they didn't want the adoption people to know, because they were worried if they found out that she was pregnant with my brother, that then she would not be able to have me, not be able to adopt me. But thankfully it was, it all went through and everything was fine. But I was taken off my birth parents, with my birth mother, at 2 days old, which I do think has caused possibly some of my abandonment issues. I read a lot. I've read a book by this chap called Gabor Mate, and he talks about implicit memory and how when we're young, we don't remember the memories, but there's something in us that still remembers them. So we've got this kind of implicit memory, and I would say that my implicit memory definitely remembers being probably ripped from my birth mother, and then given to new people. And, all my life it's been absolutely fine. I've never had a problem with telling people I'm adopted. I've never had an issue with it. To some extent, I often forget that I'm adopted. I often forget that my sister and I don't have the same, we don't look similar. But then a lot of people will say that me and my brother look similar, me and my sister look similar, me and my mum look similar. A lot of people say different things, and it's really lovely, because a lot of the time when people don't realise I'm adopted, they kind of say, "Oh, you look like your brother," and things like that, which is really cool, because yeah, I'm very lucky, because I went into a really, really lovely family. I've been best friends with my brother for years, and very, very close friends, very best friends with my sister as well. Really close family. I'm not going to be talking about my adoptive family, because I've talked about those in my journey and things like that. But when I was about 7 or 8, my parents got this book called Why Was I Adopted? I don't know if it's still in print, but it was an absolutely brilliant book. Really recommend it for anyone who has adopted children or is going to adopt children. It's a fantastic book to help explain to the child how they were adopted and things like that, and it's got really cool drawings, and it was brilliant. I remember them telling me and my sister, and being kind of like, okay, Right, so we're a bit different to everyone else then, a bit special. And other than that, I don't really feel, I've never been traumatized by finding out. I was never uncomfortable finding out. But it was when people at school, things like that, when they found out, that was a lot more challenging. So I remember being in primary school and telling some of my friends that I was adopted, and then one of them using it against me, and I think she and I had a bit of a falling out in the playground, and I called her fat or something, a fat cow, and which wasn't nice because she was a bit overweight, but you know, it was up, she'd said something, and then in her response was, well, at least my mother wanted me, and that stuck with me for years. I mean, it's never left me really. It's probably one of the most horrendous things anyone's ever said to me, because, you know, looking back, it must have been really hard for my birth parents to give me up. I know many of my friends who have babies, who've given birth, you know, the thought of them having to give that to someone else, I can't even imagine them experiencing that. So it must have been really hard. So I've never been angry at my birth parents. I've never been, you know, hurt or pissed off with them in any way, because it must have been one of the hardest things. Now, so yeah, I found out when I was 7, and you know, all my life really, I've never had a problem with it. I've never really, apart from a few comments at school here and there, and the fact that, you know, I don't really have anyone that looks like me, or anyone that you know, there's no kind of genetics or anything like that. So when people say, oh, you know, is there a history of this in your family, I'm like, I don't know. Is there a history of this? I don't know. And then, you know, some people say that, you know, if you I don't know what I'm trying to say there. What am I trying to say? I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is that my birth parents and my adopted parents were amazing, really, really cool. And, you know, I've been really, really close with my mum ever since. So I love my adopted family. They are my family, and this includes my extended family, my aunties, my uncles, my cousins. All of them are my family, and I love them all dearly. So the most recent thing that happened with my adoption was probably about 6 years ago, when I decided to get in touch. I wanted to contact both my birth parents, just to kind of say, hey, I'm all right. You know, you gave me to a lovely family. This has been my life. I mean, obviously the mental illness thing isn't so great. Yeah, at that time, my mum and dad said, look, we've got this paperwork that we had, that when you said you were ready, we were going to give it to you. And it was a letter from written about my birth parents, and it sort of said how they met and what they were like, and apparently my birth mother had big boobs, so I know where I got those from. But what was amazing is, yeah, they had all this beautiful letter, and how it had been a really kind of amicable, really kind, really gentle adoption, and really, really nice, which is really, really great, because a lot of people have very different experiences of their adoptions. Yeah, so I got in touch. I couldn't locate my birth mum. Her name obviously had changed, but I did contact my birth father, and it was great because I had a social worker, and she was acting as an intermediary contact. So I said, you know, tell him this and tell him I'm okay, tell him da 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 da. And at one point he was considering meeting up, and then unfortunately something happened, I don't know what, but he just cut all contact. And yeah, haven't heard anything since. And that was a really, really awful time. That was actually when I was with Ricky, and I found out that, oh, piggy lip, yeah, and I found out that, yeah, he didn't want to see me. So that kind of really hurt. And like I say, with Ricky at the time, it was just another stress added to everything else, and it was just really awful. But what was good, when I did meet the social worker, they had some paperwork that they kept with my file, and I got to see photographs of them, and this blew my mind, because I'd never seen what they looked like, and it was unreal how much I looked like my birth father. Same eyes, same kind of face. The sort of cheekbones and everything, that seemed to be from my birth mum. I would show you the photos, but because I'm not actually in contact with these people, I don't think it would be very fair for me to put their pictures up on here. But maybe sometime in the future I will, I don't know. But yeah, for now I can't show you the pictures, because they may see it and be like, why are you putting pictures up? So yes, but on the whole, that was really hard, and you know, I ended up giving up trying to find my birth mother. So I probably will at some point when I'm feeling more stable. It really knocked me for six when I had that rejection, and it wasn't really a rejection. It felt like a rejection, but it wasn't a rejection. This video is going on way too long, guys. So yeah, it's really up and down, but for the most part, I don't think about it. My mum is my mum, and my dad is my dad, and I may not always see eye to eye with my dad, but you know, he's been there since I was a baby, and he's been amazing in sometimes and sometimes not so much, but that's for another time. So that's my adoption. I'm probably will be talking about it another time at some point. I'm not sure, but I really wanted to get this in. Really wanted to tie it in with the National Adoption Week, and to anyone that's experienced adoption, if you're watching this, please comment below. Were you adopted? Have you adopted a child? Or did you give someone up for adoption and then you've reunited with them? Whatever your story, please comment below. Everyone else, regular viewers and everything, awesome to have you in the Little Blue Pot community. Sorry this one's gone on a bit long. I usually try and keep these between 5 and 10 minutes because they're yeah, I don't know why, just because people don't want to watch. No, one of those weeks, but we're getting there. And oh, and I did my 100th video this week, so addiction part 1 is actually my 100th video. Yes! So 100 videos, and what is yeah, and there's some really cool things. I've been working on my outtakes video at the moment. That's going to come out in December. It's really, really funny. You're going to see some really cool bits that you've never seen before, which would be really cool. And yeah, that's it. Let me know how your week's gone. Tell me how you're going. Tell me about any of you that have experience with adoption. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next time. Take care, guys.